Welcome, everybody. This is the John Talks podcast. I'm your host, John Cox. I'm here with Lane Castleberry with the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. Welcome, Lane.
Thank you, Jonathan. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on the show.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what's happening in Jenks right now.
Sure. We have a lot of things coming up that we're really excited about. Most notably, we have something called Sharklahoma coming out throughout the month of July.
Yes. Shark Week is a fine family tradition in my family.
Yes, we're looking forward to that. We have the largest collection of bull sharks in the world, I believe, at the Oklahoma Aquarium. So it's a good opportunity to draw awareness to that, bring people into Jenks, and enjoy time here.
Yeah, my son is obsessed with that. He's 3.5 years old now, and he's been going to the aquarium since he was old enough to go anywhere. So that's one of his favorite places to go. The Shark Tunnel gets mixed reviews depending on how he feels. It's either scary or the coolest thing ever.
I can imagine. Yeah. They can be a little scary.
Imagine being 3 years old walking into a tunnel filled with sharks and kind of looking all around and seeing all the shadows and the dramatic lighting. It's a very cool environment.
As an adult, though, it's quite captivating.
Yeah, same. I often wish that I could just sit in there and paint for a couple of hours, but probably the guests wouldn't be too receptive of me just taking up.
Do you paint as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
I paint mostly in acrylics, but I'm experimenting with oil as well.
Oh, awesome.
And I mean, we're in the perfect place to talk about that.
Where creativity gathers.
That's right. So actually today, let's talk about that a little bit. We're sitting in the Hive, and you want to talk about the origin of the Hive at all?
Yeah, sure. So the Hive is built to be a creative space. We're the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. We office out of this building. It's a 4,000 square feet building.
Wow.
So very large. For our internal events, we're able to host our luncheons or other gatherings in the gallery area. Each month, we typically host an artist that can come in and have a show, and they hang up their artwork on the walls in the gallery, and they usually have a grand opening for each of their for their gallery sessions. But that's something. Past the pandemic, we're going to open up again. We're reaching out to artists, and we're going to hopefully start doing that again here soon as well.
Oh, cool. Okay, so you haven't started doing that yet since the pandemic. Okay,
correct, because we didn't want to bring...
we
were close to the public, but we were working here, so...
Yeah, I've seen a lot of cool exhibits here, and you can't see it because it's on the other side of the camera, but they have these walls that can be moved around. Basically, they're on casters, right? And you can just roll them around and put the art displays in different places. And so every time there's an exhibition here, it can be a completely different look and feel and setup. And the way, I think Greg Helms designed this facility as well, right?
He did, yes.
Yeah, so Greg he's an architect here in Jenks, right off of Main Street. And he has a really awesome minimal style that works, I think, fantastically well with an art gallery because it really lets the art do the talking. And then in the back, you have a room for local artists, right?
We do. We have a couple of artists in residence, mainly Christopher Westfall. He's a Tulsa area artist. Does beautiful landscape, painting. Does some, the visual type paintings.
Yeah, right.
But he's a terrific artist. And if we don't have somebody scheduled for a month, usually he fills in the walls. And it's always nice. I'm glad you brought up the space. It is great to have the visual on the wall. People come in, they can experience, art while they're here for an event. And a lot of times, it's good for the artist because they can sell their painting, if somebody sees it here too, it's a win-win for everybody. I
was rewatching Bob Ross recently because he has a lot of cool techniques that I'm trying to learn. And he talks about, he was doing an oceanscape and he did a part where the wave was cascading over another wave. And he's like, this is the part where if you're selling your painting, now I know nobody here is interested in that happy buck, but just imagining that you are, this is the part that people really want to see in a painting. So yeah, I've been in here and actually purchased a few of Chris Hopkins' pieces of work. Yeah. Chris Hopkins was a teacher at Tulsa Tech, I believe. Was it Tulsa Technical College?
I believe so.
Yeah. And now he is one of the teaching administrators. Like he runs several programs, but also an immense talent. So can I brag on the Jenks Chamber a little bit?
Please do.
Okay,
by
sweet.
All means.
Yeah, since we're here talking about the Hive, you and I were talking about this before we started recording. So probably 7-8 years ago, I was involved in something called the Jenks Arts Council that was put on by the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. And I joined that just because I'm an art nerd and I love Jenks. I love how kind of eclectic and artsy we are, and I wanted to brag about that in the community. And Greg Helms, the architect, and Chris Hopkins that we just mentioned were in on that. Josh was in on that. Josh Driscoll, president of the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. And in that, we were talking about what we could do to promote the arts in Jenks. And we came up with the Jenks Arts Talks, which was a series of bringing in local artists and leaders within the arts into Jenks. And at that time, it was done at the Jenks High School at the planetarium. And we had Marcello Andolini, who was the artistic director for the Tulsa Ballet, is the artistic director for the Tulsa Ballet out. And he gave such a presentation that afterwards I just went up and complimented him on it. And he asked what we do, and I explained it to him, and he said, "Our website sucks." And so that resulted in us getting to bid on that and win that contract. We worked with them to do their website, photography, video for a long time. Then that resulted in the Tulsa Opera giving us a call because they saw our name at the bottom of the Tulsa Ballet website. And we've had a lot of opportunities over the years. Aquavit has been in existence for about 13 years now. Come in because of our relationship with the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. I've invested in a lot of organizations over the years, but of the ones that I've invested in, the Jenks Chamber of Commerce has been the best return for my money. And not only financially, but just from the relationships that I've been able to get out of it. All the guys that I just mentioned, Greg and Chris and you and Josh, I just love getting to know solid, professional, ethical guys in the community and girls in the community that are rocking it here. So thank you for all you guys do.
Well, we appreciate you telling that story. It's amazing to hear that you're able to reach out to those businesses and make those connections, relationships. As you said, that's a neat aspect that I enjoy, working for the chamber. Then expanding your network of people that you know and the relationships that you build. It's just a great opportunity for businesses, the community to gather. It's a terrific experience. But thank you so much for being a part of our organization and our partnership as well, and working on the tourism side.
No problem. So on that topic, we've recently launched a new project called Discover Jenks. And you want to speak to that a little bit?
Sure. So Discover Jenks is a program of the Jenks Chamber of Commerce. We're basically in charge of tourism for the city. Part of our mission as the Jenks Chamber is to create economic growth in the city. And so tourism fits perfectly into that. So Discover Jenks, we're expanding what we've been doing. A little bit. We do an annual magazine of the same name, Discover Jenks, that we put out each year, which is basically a tourism guide for residents. You can find that downtown Jenks and other member businesses who include that in their shop. But what we wanted to do is to really have a better presence, digitally. And Jonathan and his team were gracious enough to join us in that effort. And they've done a terrific job in building a website close to the Austin, Texas website. It's kind of comparable to that, but it's exceptional. And we're excited to build upon that, to have good content and draw people in to Jenks. Because as local residents, we know, the good places to go and what we enjoy. And obviously we do enjoy it because we both live here. But we're excited to tell that story to those outside of our region, to bring them in, to drive that economic growth. So we're very excited, and thank you again for helping us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm really proud of my town. I love Jenks, and one of the things that I often say about it is that it has that small town feel and charm, but it has so many cool things in it that you could only get in a big city, and access to a big city right down the road. So we've talked about the Aquarium a little bit. We've got the Riverwalk down here. I remember when Andolini's and Burnco were going into the Riverwalk, I'm like, well, now I'm never leaving Jenks, because those are two of my favorite places to go. I would drive all the way to 15th Cherry Street to go to Andolini's for good pizza, and now it's like right here.
It's amazing.
And Veterans Park, that's where Jess and I take Mikey to play quite a lot of the time, and we've met a lot of local parents, and Mikey's made lots of little friends going and playing at Veteran Park. Really, really cool park. It's a multi-tiered play structure, and there's one that's kind of an all-age and slightly older, more complex structure, and then they have one that's more for the little kids. And then right by that, they've got this beautiful body of water with a couple of fishing docks off of it. And so we've done cookouts there. We've done, when I was president of my Rotary Club, we would do our board meetings under the covered area out there.
Yes.
And do potlucks and stuff like that and grill out. And it's an incredibly diverse community in what it offers. And don't get me started on Reasors, man. We have such a great grocery store. I would argue that I stayed in part in Jenks the last move because I love my grocery store so much. We're such a cool store. So I know that we've just kind of gotten past some of the major Jenks Chamber events, but do you want to speak to some of the flagship events that have just passed and some of the ones that are coming up in the near future?
Sure. So community is very important and vital to our organization. I appreciate what you said about kind of the organizational, like downtown, and Riverwalk and the Aquarium. It's all very tightly knit, which is the small town charm of Jenks is unique in that facet where everybody is very connected and the relationships here are outstanding. So I really appreciate that. But in terms of events that we've had recently, we've gone through quite a busy couple of months, kind of catching up from COVID. One of those is the Food Truck Festival that we host each year in May. It's probably the biggest we've had in 9 years. We've had really good feedback. And we had lots of trash that day because people are eating some good food. So that was great. We have an inaugural banquet that we do for the community to celebrate the best in business. It's always a fun time. But upcoming, I want to talk about a few events that we have. So the city is going to be sponsoring Boom Fest again this year.
Right. One of my favorite festivals.
It's I believe the largest firework display in our region, in the Tulsa region. Maybe the state. It's terrific. If you have a chance, come out. It'll be at the Riverwalk area.
Yep.
You can get some Andolinis or Los Cabos.
Find parking early.
Yes, find parking early. Maybe leave a little bit early and watch the rest of the fireworks show in your car.
Yeah.
If you want to leave at a good time. But we wanted to try to add a few things too. We're always looking at ways that we can innovate and do new things. So a couple of things that we're trying this year is to do a bowling in business or bowling for business event. So we've had several teams build teams. They can decorate a pin to kind of, we have an award for best decorated pin. And of course, if you win, it'll be...
Get into the team spirit.
Yes, absolutely. So we're looking forward to doing that next week.
Where is that going to be hosted?
It's going to be at Andy B's in
Andy
Tulsa.
B's, okay. Yeah.
So they're a member of the Jenks
right over
Chamber.
the river.
Very generous.
Yeah.
But we're looking forward to having that day. And then we're also going to have a new event called Main Street Bash. And that's going to be in September. So it'll be a fall event. Should be good weather.
Yeah.
But that's going to be a car show mixed with like a mini food truck festival event. So we're looking forward to testing the waters and having another great
I know a
event
lot of car
community.
fanatics in this community, so that's a cool thing to have.
Absolutely. And then a couple of other events that are pretty notable in the community. Trick or Treat on Main Street. Usually a lot of our members and not even non-members come and participate to give out candy and toys to the kids.
I don't think I even knew about that one, so I'm learning new things here today.
Yeah, last year we probably had close to, maybe 5,000 people come through. It was a lot.
Wow.
I think there's even a couple of businesses that ran out of candy in like 15 minutes.
Jeez.
It's a great opportunity for businesses to get their names out there, but also be a part of the community.
Yeah.
And then Lights On is also another great event that we do. And Jenks has a long-standing tradition. Travis Meyer comes out and MCs that event.
Oh, wow,
and
cool.
does the countdown for the lights to come on.
Oh, yeah.
And if you haven't been to downtown Jenks at night, you really ought to take the time to do so, or just look at the fantastic photos that Jonathan takes at night
thanks.
Of downtown Jenks. He gets some good motion shots, but we do have lights that are over the whole district of downtown, and it's beautiful. So
yeah, as a photographer, I am a big fan of taking pictures in Jenks generally, but at night it's really special because we've got the pedestrian bridge, and it's very architecturally cool. You can get some neat vanishing point shots and stuff like that. When it rains, it's actually really cool to shoot downtown at night and the bridge at night because you get some of the reflective elements from the colored lighting and the cars going by and the bridge. You'll see reflections of the bridge in pools of water that are on the bridge. So it's a really beautiful place to come out and shoot at any time, but especially at night in spring and in the fall. I love shooting the foliage coming in and all of that good stuff and the effects at night. I'm a big fan of the light streaks and motion shots at night, as you can probably tell. I think those are cool. So
They are.
okay. Well, is there anything that you would like to add?
I guess last thing I would say is we acknowledge, in Jenks, we're probably not going to be a week-long vacation for people coming in. But the small town charm is here. There is plenty to be had in Jenks in terms of entertainment, whether that's throwing axes at Got Wood, visiting the Oklahoma Aquarium.
I didn't give them a shout out. And while we're giving them a shout out, I would say you've got to check out George's Pub as well. It's a personal favorite of mine. We have many great favorites, so I don't want to play favorites too much, but a lot of great memories in George's Pub. I remember going in there and meeting Corey Crandall for the first time. I'd never been in. I'd been to actually some of his other places in Tulsa when he had pubs there, but I hadn't been to George's yet. And he goes, "This is your first time?" And I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Nerd." And that's classic Corey.
Oh, he's got a personality. He's fun.
So what advice would you give to young career professionals? Because I know you're rocking it with your career, and Jenks Chamber, that is the whole reason, is to promote connection between professionals. So what keys to success have you found in your own life that you would share with other young professionals in Jenks and the surrounding communities?
Yeah, I think maybe one of my biggest pieces of advice, to anybody, starting out in their career, is to not be afraid to talk with people and don't be afraid to take risks as well. I remember I worked at Oklahoma Baptist University for 7 years in communications there. I did website content and social media. But whenever I started that job, I went to OBU as well. And so in my first couple of years, I was so intimidated to talk with some of my professors, who they were my teachers in class, but now they're peers. And then one day it just clicked where I realized, hey, everybody's a person. They have their own interests and things that they enjoy, and you can relate to people on any number of levels. So I think advice for young professionals, just go at it. Don't be afraid to go up and talk to somebody, present them with an idea, think of ways that you can collaborate. And then I also mentioned not being afraid to take risks. I think that's really important too. You may have a crazy bonkers idea, but some of those end up being the best, in my opinion. They end up being the most successful in events or social media content, or headlines. Sometimes the straight lace, typical content that you do isn't necessarily going to bring in the attention that you would like. So don't be afraid to be different.
Yeah, mother's advice still applies. Be yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah. One of the books that I'm reading right now is called The Millionaire Mind. And he's the guy who also wrote The Millionaire Next Door, considered one of the greatest experts on self-made millionaires in America. And he said people like 60 Minutes and ABC and Life approach him and they ask for lists of how did you get all these millionaires? And he says, I don't have a list. What I do is I read trade show journals for all of these different industries that exist out there. And he said, when I contact these people, they don't care about being on 60 Minutes or national news or anything. These self-made millionaires just want to have connections within their industry and within their communities. And when I call them, they go, why do you want to talk to me? These self-made millionaires. So it goes back to your point. People are just people. Yeah. And oftentimes what I find is the people that are really successful within their career, many of them want to pass on the skills that they've learned. They want to help the next generation. And too often, I think, the next generation is afraid of, and this applied to me as well when I was first starting my career, you are in awe of their achievement, of their presence. And then you get to talking to them and you're like, this guy's just like me, just 20, 30, 40 years down the road. So that is one of the ways that I have grown by going to like the Jenks inaugural banquet, for example, and meeting some of the city leaders and city councilors and other professionals in the area, it's really helped me to hone the ability to create connections with people. Mm-hmm. And in that book, Millionaire Mind, he says, in order to achieve success at a high level, you have to become a collector. You have to become a collector of information, of skills, of relationships, of connections with other people. And I think that's one of the biggest assets of joining the chamber is you get to do that in a way that's kind of safe compared to some of the other risks that you could take because you're all part of one community, and that's how all of these events are filtered. You know, everybody that's coming to a Jenks chamber meeting is there because they care about the Jenks community and they want to meet other people within the Jenks community. And so it makes it easier, I think, to develop that skill.
Mm-hmm. One other shout out, if you don't mind, if I
go for it.
We just started up a young professional program in Jenks.
Oh, sweet.
And it's called Emerge. And it's open. You don't have to be a member to participate. We're really this year just trying to provide an opportunity for people to make meaningful connections.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes along with what you're saying. You know, being able to, you know, just talk with people from different industries and build connections. So far, we've gone to George's. We mentioned them earlier. We had kind of a happy hour type event. We kind of built it into two different sets.
And that always makes the conversations easier.
Definitely.
One beer
get a little bit loose
right.
and get to know people. So we've had some happy hour events, but we've also are doing field trips. So next up, we're going to go to Margaritaville in the River Spirit Casino.
Yeah.
They just joined the chamber as members.
Oh, nice.
And so we're going to have a nice, dinner, social, get together, maybe a little bit of playtime in there, as well.
So tell me about that organization. What age do you have to be to participate?
So it's very broad. It's 21 to 45.
Okay. Well, I turned 40 this year, so I wouldn't qualify for Thai Pros, but I would still qualify for Emerge.
Come on, yeah. We're trying to, that's going to be our prime spot. Those 5 years, we're going to get more people.
Right.
So,
there you go. Perfect. And how would I go about joining that if I were interested?
So there's no formal joining.
Yeah.
We just, we've been posting the events on our social media channels.
Okay.
Through the Jenks Chamber. You can follow us on Facebook there.
Yeah. Got to get that social media shout out in there, man.
Yeah, and the city's been sharing it too. They've been very gracious in doing that as well. Because it's just open to everyone in the city. We want to, especially following the pandemic, we want to provide an opportunity where people can be social.
People are so hungry for connection right now. I mean, human beings are not designed to be isolated for long periods of time. Yeah. No.
But it's very exciting. Things are opening back up.
Yes.
Well, at least in this area.
Yes, absolutely. It is so encouraging. Having gone through everything that we've all gone through over the past year and a half, to see things gradually getting better. That's a great encouragement to my heart. So
definitely.
Okay. Well, anything else that you would like to add in closing?
I don't think so. I'll just say thank you again, for letting me be a part of this show, and thank you for your team's work on our website.
Yeah, no problem.
Actually, both of them. Our chamber website, that one's still looking great.
I think we're on version 4 or 5 now. We've done several versions for you guys, and it's a blast each time. So thank you for the opportunities. Okay, so again, I'm Jonathan Cox, and
I'm Lane Castleberry.
Yeah, and thank you for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.